Now, for an exclusive interview, is the fourth highest ranking House Republican Majority Chief Deputy Whip, Peter Roskam. Congressman Roskam, thank you so much for joining me. And I want to ask you, would you do the same as Congressman Ridgel, which is pledge a percentage of your income to pay down the debt to get that matched by Warren Buffett?
Look, matching programs aren't going to work. What has to happen is you've got to deal with this from a spending point of view, and what you've got to do is ultimately transform the tax code. That's the remedy here. We're not looking for gimmicks. We're looking for real solutions. And I think ultimately, President Obama has an unbelievable opportunity tonight, and that is to come in and say, look, the solutions that I've offered as president for the past 2.5 or 3 years haven't worked. Let's move forward, and let's move forward in a bipartisan way. And I think the country is just aching for that kind of leadership, and I hope he does that.
But people say, though, that with the gridlock we're seeing in Washington, there is very little hope of any major tax reform this year.
Well, that's a shame. If you look back at the 1986 Act, the last time that the tax code was substantively reformed, it happened in an election year, and the key was it took place under presidential leadership in divided government. Ronald Reagan turned the high beams of charm on, Dan Rostenkowski and others, Tip O'Neill, and ultimately got people to work together. Bill Clinton similarly had unbelievable success balancing the budget and reforming the welfare system in divided government. But I would submit that the key is presidential leadership, and also a president that listens to the American people and to the signal that they gave back in November of last year.
Congressman, let me ask you, though, about Mitt Romney and him releasing his tax records, showing that he pays about a 14–15% tax rate. Does that tell you that something is wrong here with the tax code? What does that tell you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Something is fundamentally wrong with the tax code. And this is where you could have, I think, a transformational moment if the whole country were to come together. Now, I think President Obama has an opportunity tonight to say, let's work together and drop the tax code and come and make it more competitive and more dynamic, because ultimately that's where the growth is.
Congressman, would you agree, though, one major tenet of President Obama's tax reform is to essentially install a millionaire's tax, to increase taxes on the rich? Would you agree with him on this? Would you come to the table on this?
Look, here's the thing. The country needs an economy that is growing and dynamic. In my district in suburban Chicago, people aren't so much concerned about what's the other guy doing. They want to make sure that there's a job for them and there's an opportunity for them. And what we've seen so far is flat rhetoric and empty promises coming out of the White House and lost opportunities. Most folks say drop the code, lower the rates, broaden the base, clear out the underbrush, and ultimately make this so that the United States is the most dynamic, competitive tax jurisdiction in the world. We're getting our heads handed to us around the world.
Okay, all right, Congressman, I'm going to have to leave it there, but I appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much. I was the House Majority Chief Deputy Whip, Congressman Peter Roskam. And in a few minutes, we're going to be talking more with Obama's advisor, Valerie Jarrett. Plus, Warren Buffett taking me for a ride in Omaha.
Betty, do you need a ride?